Welcome to Starbound Valor HFY. Subscribe now and dive into daily epic sci-fi adventures where humanity always rises. Humans were never supposed to be a threat. That was what the Galactic Council believed on the day they allowed Earth to join the wider galaxy. The Council had seen thousands of new species before, and humans looked ordinary compared to them: small lifespan, average strength, low technology, and a history full of war and mistakes. The Council expected humans to behave like every young race, follow rules, listen to older species, and stay quiet in the background. But on this day, inside the giant council hall, every alien leader sat in fear. The huge circular chamber, normally full of calm voices, now echoed with anger, worry, and panic. A young alien reporter, small and nervous, whispered to his senior, "What did the humans do this time?" No one answered. No one wanted to speak first. Because what humans had done was too strange, too dangerous, and too impossible to explain. At the center of the hall, the 9 high counselors stood frozen. They had just finished watching a secret battle recording, one that showed how a tiny human fleet destroyed a powerful alien armada 10 times its size. A battle that humans should have lost. A battle that every alien AI predicted would be over in minutes. But instead, humans won, and they won so fast that even the AI systems refused to accept the result. The Council had called an emergency meeting to hide the truth. They wanted no one in the galaxy to know what truly happened. But the truth was already escaping their control. The hall doors opened with a loud metallic echo, and a tall messenger walked inside. In his hands he carried a black security box, sealed with human and Council authorization codes. The aliens leaned forward. The box held the full recording of the human tactic that turned the war upside down. Several alien commanders whispered that maybe humans had discovered new weapons. Others feared humans had built a secret AI more advanced than anything in the galaxy. But they were all wrong. When the Council played the recording again on the giant floating screen, the hall fell silent. The scene showed a human commander standing on the bridge of a simple, old ship. No advanced armor, no heavy cannons, nothing special. His crew looked tired, stressed, and very human, imperfect and unpredictable. The alien fleet they faced was massive, shining with advanced technology, guided by perfect AI systems. Every alien watching already knew how this battle should go. Humans should run. Humans should beg for peace. Humans should lose. But the recording showed something unbelievable. The human commander gave a short order, one that made no sense to any alien mind, one that no AI would ever calculate. He ordered his entire fleet to turn off their transponders, kill their navigation lights, and fly straight into a dense asteroid field at full speed. Aliens gasped. No rational species would ever do that. It was suicide. The screen then showed the alien fleet chasing them into the field, confident of victory. But inside the asteroid shadows, the human ships moved like ghosts. They slipped between rocks, used shadows to hide their heat signatures, and appeared where aliens least expected. The humans attacked suddenly, in ways no one predicted, hitting weak spots that even the alien commanders did not know existed. Within minutes, the massive alien armada started falling apart. Their perfect AI systems failed because the humans did not follow any predictable pattern. Every human movement was a trick. Every escape was a trap. Every error was a strategy. At the final moment, the human commander appeared again on screen, calm and steady, giving one last impossible order that ended the entire battle. When the recording finished, the hall remained silent. Some alien leaders looked sick. Others trembled. The youngest members of the Council did not understand. They could not see what the elders saw. Finally, the oldest counselor spoke, his voice shaking. Humans have created a tactic with no pattern. No logic. No prediction. It is chaos, shaped into a weapon. Another counselor stood. If they continue to fight like this, he said, no species in the galaxy can counter them. The hall erupted in fearful arguments. Some shouted that humans must be banned from war. Others said humans should be forced to follow new rules. A few suggested humans should be restricted, monitored, maybe even isolated. But then the head counselor banged his staff on the floor, demanding silence. He looked at the other leaders with cold, tired eyes and said the words no one ever expected to hear: "We must ban human tactics from the galaxy." The hall froze again. Even the reporter stopped breathing. The counselor continued, "If humans keep fighting like this, they will win every war." And those final words created the fear that would spread across the galaxy. Humans were not powerful because of ships or weapons. They were powerful because of how they think. The Galactic Council did not sleep for many nights after the human battle recording was revealed. Every species sent their best analysts, scientists, and war experts to understand what they had witnessed. But the more they studied the recording, the more confused they became. The alien races had always believed wars were won by technology, numbers, and perfect strategy calculated by advanced AI systems. But humans shattered that belief in one day. Soon, the Council launched a deep investigation into the strange new species from Earth. They wanted to know why humans fought so differently, why their tactics confused even the smartest computers, and why no alien commander could predict human behavior. A team of high-ranking researchers gathered inside a secure chamber filled with holograms, charts, and AI prediction models. They played the human battle again and again. Every model tried to understand the human choices, but the systems produced errors each time. One alien general slammed his fist on the table and shouted, "They have no pattern. How can we calculate something that has no logic?" Another expert replied in a trembling voice, "That is the problem. Maybe humans do not follow logic the way we do." In the next days, the Council began studying human history. What they found only increased their fear. Humans had fought thousands of wars on their own planet. They fought with sticks, with swords, with machines, with aircraft, with computers, and even with pure courage when they had nothing else. Every time they were pushed to the edge, they evolved. They adapted. They survived. Unlike alien species who avoided risk, humans ran toward it. Unlike species who depended on tradition, humans challenged their own traditions. Unlike species who trusted machines completely, humans trusted instinct and emotion. Alien scholars began to whisper that humans did not fight to follow rules. They fought to win, no matter what. In one council session, a scientist presented a shocking idea. He said, "Humans are unpredictable because they think in many layers. Logic, emotion, memory, fear, courage, all mixed together. Our AI can read patterns, but humans do not stay in one pattern. They are chaos in motion." Many alien leaders did not want to accept this. They believed humans were too young to be dangerous. But the more evidence they collected, the more undeniable the truth became. A special council team visited Earth to observe humans directly. What they saw made them even more worried. Humans played games that simulated war and strategy from childhood. They played chess, video games, sports, and training exercises that required fast thinking and sudden decisions. They learned to stay calm in stress. They practiced surviving disasters. They even enjoyed challenges that other species avoided. One alien observer wrote in his report, "Humans prepare for danger even when there is no danger. It is in their nature to be ready." In another report, a scientist described humans as the species that grows stronger under pressure. This single description spread through the council like wildfire. No other race had that trait. Most species weakened in fear. Humans sharpened their minds in fear. The investigators also learned that humans had something rare in the galaxy: creativity in war. When faced with a strong enemy, humans did not rely on brute force. They made traps, illusions, fake signals, unexpected movements, and psychological tricks. They turned weaknesses into strengths. They turned mistakes into opportunities. One alien commander shook his head and said, "You cannot fight an enemy who changes every second." As more data arrived, the Council created a full profile of human combat behavior. Every part of the profile broke old galactic rules. Where aliens used predictable formations, humans changed direction suddenly. Where aliens followed perfect timing, humans broke timing on purpose. Where aliens relied on AI, humans turned off their machines and trusted instinct. The Council soon realized that humans were the only species that did not fear chaos. They used it like a weapon. The final report shocked everyone. It stated clearly, human strategies cannot be predicted. Human thinking cannot be mapped. Their actions are unstable, flexible, and driven by a mix of logic and emotion. This makes humans the only species in the galaxy that AI cannot counter. When this report was read aloud in the council hall, an eerie silence filled the room. The leaders looked at each other, knowing they were facing something completely new. Humans were not dangerous because of their ships, weapons, or numbers. They were dangerous because their minds worked in a way no alien system could understand. And in that moment, the Council realized something even more terrifying. If humans continued to evolve, their strategies would only grow more complex. Their unpredictability would increase. Their victories would multiply. And soon, no alien empire would be able to stop them. Humans were still new to the galaxy when the first great test came, a test that would change how every species viewed Earth forever. The Crothan Empire, an old and powerful alien race with a long history of crushing younger civilizations, decided to challenge the humans. To the Crothan, humans looked weak and unprepared, using old-style ships, slow engines, and outdated weapons. They believed destroying the human fleet would take only minutes. When the Crothan declared war, the Galactic Council expected a fast and one-sided battle. Many believed humans would surrender the moment their sensors detected the enemy fleet. But the Council underestimated something important. Humans do not surrender just because the enemy looks stronger. On the day of the battle, a small human fleet of 20 ships faced a Crothan armada of more than 200. Alien spectators watching the live feed whispered that this was not a battle, it was a funeral. The Crothan commander broadcast a message to the humans, offering them a chance to surrender. The humans answered with silence. The Crothan laughed, thinking humans were frozen in fear. But inside the human flagship, the young commander, Captain Aaron Hale, stood calm. His crew looked at him with trust, even though they all knew the enemy outnumbered them 10-1. Hale studied the star map. He knew the Crothan fought with perfect formation and AI-controlled precision. They followed patterns. They expected their enemy to react in predictable ways. That was exactly why Hale decided not to follow any pattern at all. Instead, he gave an order that shocked even his own crew. Turn off transponders. Shut down identification signals. Reduce heat output. We enter the asteroid field. His officers stared at him as if he had gone mad. Entering an asteroid field under attack was suicide to most species. But Hale understood something the Crothan did not. Humans evolved under pressure. Humans learned to survive chaos. And chaos was something the Crothan AI could not handle. The human ships slid into the asteroid field like shadows disappearing into a dark forest. The Crothan fleet followed, laughing at the foolish humans. To them, this was the final mistake. But as soon as the Crothan entered the field, their perfect formation broke. Their giant ships struggled to maneuver between the spinning rocks. Their AI systems warned them repeatedly, slowing their movements, blocking firing solutions, and forcing them to break. The Crothan expected the humans to scatter in panic. Instead, the human ships moved with surprising confidence. They ducked behind asteroids, used dark surfaces to hide heat signatures, and changed positions quietly. It was as if they had done this 1,000 times. The Crothan commander shouted at his AI systems for answers, but the machines had no clear target. They detected ghosts everywhere, fake pings, confusing signals, and unexpected heat flares. The humans used small drones to reflect engine light and heat, tricking the Crothan into firing at empty space. In the control room of the human flagship, Hale watched the enemy with sharp eyes. He waited for the moment the Crothan formation reached its weakest point. When it came, he didn't hesitate. Strike positions, he ordered. Human ships burst out from behind asteroids like predators leaping from hiding. Their first shots hit the Crothan's command ship right in the sensors. The Crothan panicked, firing wildly and hitting their own ships. Their commander screamed in frustration. He could not understand how a small human fleet had turned the field into a trap. But this was human strength, using risk as a weapon, using chaos as a shield. While alien AIs begged for order, humans thrived in disorder. The fight lasted only 15 minutes, but it felt like hours. The Crothan, blinded and confused, never regained control. Their ships crashed into asteroids or each other. Those that tried to escape were targeted by human fighters waiting outside the field. When the battle ended, the silent space was filled with broken Crothan vessels. Only 4 human ships had taken damage. Not a single one was lost. The Galactic Council watched the footage in stunned disbelief. Nothing like this had ever happened in thousands of years. A young race, outnumbered and outgunned, had defeated one of the oldest empires in the galaxy. And the worst part for the Council was not that humans won, but how they won. They used unpredictable strategy, dangerous maneuvering, and instinctive creativity no AI could understand. For the first time in galactic history, a battle was won not by technology, not by numbers, not by tradition, but by the human mind. And this victory was only the beginning. After the impossible human victory against the Crothan Empire, the Galactic Council fell into deeper fear and confusion. The Council could no longer ignore what they had seen. Humans had defeated a far stronger enemy using tactics no alien mind could understand, and this raised a terrifying question for every leader in the galaxy: how can such a young species fight like this? To find the answer, the Council formed a special investigative group called the Xenobehavioral Observation Team, made up of spies, scientists, historians, and military experts from 20 different alien races. Their mission was simple but urgent: travel to Earth, study humans closely, and discover why they think and fight in such strange ways. When the investigation team arrived on Earth, they were surprised from the moment they stepped off their shuttle. Humans lived on a planet full of chaos, storms, earthquakes, volcanoes, deserts, freezing mountains, deadly animals, dangerous oceans, and unpredictable seasons. To many alien species, such a world would be impossible to survive. But humans did not just survive it, they thrived. One alien scientist wrote in his early report, "Humans evolved on a death world. Their environment itself is their greatest teacher." The team then began observing human behavior in everyday life. They were shocked to see how often humans challenged themselves for no reason. Children ran fast on rough ground, climbed trees, played dangerous games, and pushed their limits without fear. Teenagers competed in sports that required speed, strength, timing, and constant adaptation. Adults worked jobs that involved stress, problem-solving, and teamwork under pressure. Humans trained their bodies and minds not because they had to, but because they wanted to. The investigators realized humans enjoyed challenge. They enjoyed improvement. They even enjoyed controlled danger. One alien analyst wrote, "Humans find joy in difficulty. This is not normal behavior in the galaxy." The team also visited human war museums and history archives. What they found there shocked them even more. Human history was full of conflict, tribal wars, kingdom wars, world wars, space conflicts, and battles fought with every tool from rocks to nuclear weapons. But what frightened the investigators was not the violence itself. It was the pattern. Every time humans faced destruction, they evolved. Every time an enemy was stronger, humans became smarter. Every time the world pushed them to the edge, humans pushed back harder. One historian on the team said in a quiet, worried voice, "Humans have learned from pain. They have trained their minds for thousands of years through suffering. This gives them strength no other species has." As the investigation continued, the team discovered that humans were incredibly adaptable. When facing cold, they invented clothing and fire. When facing heat, they created shelters and cooling systems. When facing predators, they made weapons. When facing starvation, they developed farming. When facing enemies, they created strategies. Humans adapted faster than any species the team had ever studied. And this adaptability also applied to war. The team attended human military training sessions. What they saw there made them even more uneasy. Humans trained for unpredictable situations. They practiced fighting in forests, deserts, snow, water, mountains, and even simulated outer space environments. They studied survival, emergency decision-making, psychological pressure, and teamwork. They practiced reacting quickly to sudden danger, making decisions without perfect information, and staying calm under stress. The aliens realized this was the core of human strength. Humans were prepared for chaos, and chaos was something the galaxy feared. The investigators also interviewed human soldiers and strategists. They expected logical, step-by-step explanations, but instead they heard things like, "Sometimes you have to take a big risk. If the enemy expects you to run, then don't run. When you're losing, do something unexpected. You win by thinking different." These sentences confused the aliens. Their AI-based battle doctrine depended on predictable moves, safe choices, and perfect calculations. But humans trusted instinct, creativity, emotion, and experience. They made decisions AI could never predict. One alien strategist finally admitted, "Humans break every model we use. There is no formula to understand them." When the investigation team returned to the Galactic Council, they brought thousands of pages of reports. After reading them, a long silence filled the council hall. The oldest counselor rose slowly and said, "Now we understand. Humans do not fight because they seek war. They fight because their evolution shaped them to face danger with creativity. No other species has a mind like theirs." Another leader added with fear in his voice, "Their planet taught them chaos. Their history taught them adaptation. Their nature taught them unpredictability. This makes humans the most dangerous species we have ever encountered." And with that, the council finally understood why humans won the first war, and why it would not be their last. The Galactic Council hoped the first human victory was only a lucky accident, a strange event that would never repeat. They convinced themselves that the Crothan Empire lost only because they underestimated humans, because they chased them into an asteroid field, because the human commander used a risky trick. Many alien leaders believed humans could not win a second time. But only 3 months later, the galaxy witnessed something even more shocking, something that broke the last hope that humans were simply lucky. This time, the war was against the Zyrak Dominion, a species known for perfect discipline, strong mental control, and battle strategies that had never failed. The Zyrak did not rely on numbers like the Crothan, nor on heavy weapons. They relied on psychological strength. They could sense fear through voice patterns, detect lies through heartbeat changes, and predict enemy plans through emotional analysis. No species in the galaxy could hide fear from them. No species except humans. When the Zyrak declared war, the Council once again predicted an easy victory. They believed the Zyrak's mental abilities would overwhelm the humans. But the humans surprised the galaxy even before the first shot was fired. Instead of sending a large fleet, humans sent a small group of communication ships with weak weapons. The Zyrak commander laughed when he saw the tiny human force. To him, it looked like a desperate attempt at diplomacy or surrender. But the humans had no intention of surrendering. Captain Aaron Hale, once again leading the human effort, studied the Zyrak for weeks before the war began. He learned their weakness, not a physical weakness, but a psychological one. The Zyrak depended too much on reading emotions, on analyzing tone, on detecting fear. They trusted their mental sensors more than their scanners or AI systems. Hale realized something clever: if humans gave them wrong emotional signals, the entire Zyrak strategy would break. So the humans prepared a strange tactic. They created thousands of recorded fake distress messages spoken by human voices. Some sounded terrified, some sounded confused, some sounded brave, and others sounded defeated. These recordings were mixed with false coordinates, false requests for help, false warnings, and false retreat orders. When the battle began, the humans broadcast these messages across space in random patterns. The Zyrak ships immediately activated their emotion sensors and began reading the false human messages. To them, the humans appeared to be in total panic. The emotional readings showed fear, despair, confusion, and stress. The Zyrak commander smiled, thinking victory was already guaranteed. His sensors told him the humans were falling apart. His sensors told him the humans were retreating, arguing, and breaking formation. But none of it was real. Meanwhile, the real human ships moved silently through a nebula cloud where sensors were weak. They made no emotional transmissions. They stayed calm and quiet. They relied on simple, low-tech communication that the Zyrak did not detect. When the Zyrak tried to follow the fake signals, they ended up chasing imaginary fleets, firing at empty space, and moving into bad positions. Their perfectly controlled formation started breaking apart. Their ships collided, lost timing, and became confused by their own misinterpretations. The Zyrak commander grew angry. Every emotional reading told him the humans were panicking, but the humans were nowhere to be seen. His own officers began doubting their abilities, wondering why their perfect senses were failing. This confusion spread through the entire fleet. The Zyrak, who were known for never showing fear, began to feel fear for the first time. And that fear made their emotional sensors even more inaccurate. Then, just when the Zyrak fleet was completely disorganized, Captain Hale gave the order, "Strike." The human ships burst from the nebula like lightning. They hit the Zyrak from behind and from the sides, choosing their targets with precision. The Zyrak, still trusting their emotional readings, believed the humans were attacking in panic and desperation. But the human attack was perfectly planned. Within minutes, the Zyrak fleet collapsed. Their mental advantage, the thing they relied on the most, had been turned into their greatest weakness. When the battle ended, the Zyrak commander stared at the wreckage in disbelief. He whispered, "No species should be able to manipulate emotion like this." But humans had not manipulated emotion. They had simply understood the Zyrak's dependence on it, and twisted that dependence into a weapon. When the Galactic Council received the report, they were speechless. The humans had won again, not with power, not with technology, but with psychology. They had defeated a species known for mental superiority using nothing but clever misdirection. One counselor said in a trembling voice, "Humans do not fight with weapons. They fight with the mind." And that realization spread panic across the galaxy, because no one knew how to stop a species that could win a war without even firing many shots. After the second impossible victory, fear of humans spread across the galaxy like a silent storm. Every alien empire, every military academy, and every intelligence force tried to understand how humans kept winning without superior weapons or advanced ships. But the more they studied, the more terrified they became. Humans were not winning through strength, they were winning through ideas, and ideas could not be predicted or controlled. The Galactic Council believed the worst was over, but they were wrong. Humans were about to reveal a new tactic so shocking and so confusing that even the bravest alien commanders refused to believe it was real. The tactic was given a simple name by the human fleet, Ghost Net. It did not rely on cloaking devices or invisibility technology. Instead, it used old physics, clever positioning, and natural space phenomena, things every alien species ignored because they believed only advanced technology could win wars. The idea came from Captain Aaron Hale after months of studying alien battle patterns. He realized something important: alien fleets always depended on AI sensors. These sensors looked for heat signatures, light patterns, energy spikes, and engine trails. Every species trusted their scanners more than their eyes. Hale saw this as an opportunity. He gathered a team of human engineers and scientists and told them, "We cannot outgun them. We cannot outrun them. So we will outsmart their machines." The Ghost Net strategy was born. It worked by placing human ships in positions where asteroids, dust clouds, reflected starlight, or gravitational shadows hid their signatures. The humans also modified their engines to emit false heat trails or reduce light output. They learned to match the background radiation of stars, to glide in low-power mode, and to bend signals off metallic surfaces. To aliens, this was madness. No commander would trust such primitive tricks in modern warfare. But humans trusted their instincts more than technology. They practiced the tactic again and again, teaching their pilots how to disappear in open space without using advanced cloaking. When the next conflict arrived, the galaxy saw GhostNet for the first time. The enemy was the Tsar Dominion, a species known for powerful sensors and unmatched detection systems. The Tsar believed nothing in the galaxy could hide from them. Their ships scanned millions of data points every second, hunting heat, movement, and energy. When they faced the human fleet, they detected nothing. Not a single ship. Not a single signal. They believed the humans had retreated out of fear. Confident and arrogant, the Tsar commander moved his fleet into the region where the humans were hiding. That was the moment Captain Hale whispered the signal, "Net Titans." Suddenly, human ships that were invisible a moment earlier appeared on every side of the Tsar fleet. They did not drop out of hyperspace. They did not uncloak. They simply revealed themselves by turning on their lights and weapons. The Tsar sensors went wild, detecting hundreds of new signatures all at once. The AI systems crashed from data overload. The Tsar commander screamed at his officers, demanding an explanation. They had no answer. The humans had been there the entire time, drifting silently inside gravitational shadows, completely invisible to advanced scanners. The first attack hit the Tsar destroyers. The humans fired in coordinated strikes that collapsed the enemy formation instantly. Alien ships panicked. Their scanners were still malfunctioning. Their AI warned them of threats everywhere. The Tsar fired at shadows, at empty space, at false signals created by human drones. The humans moved like a fishing net tightening around prey, slow, steady, and impossible to escape. The battle lasted only 10 minutes. When it was over, more than half the Tsar fleet was disabled. The rest surrendered. The Galactic Council watched the reports with pure disbelief. One counselor finally asked the question everyone feared: how did a young species develop a cloaking system superior to our own? The human ambassador smiled and answered calmly, "We do not use cloaking technology. We only use shadows." The council chamber erupted in panic. If humans could hide entire fleets without advanced tech, then no star system was safe. No empire could predict a human attack. No AI could detect them. Humans had turned the natural environment of space into a weapon. Another counselor whispered, "If humans can make themselves invisible whenever they want, then how do we defend ourselves?" But the truth was even worse. Humans could hide without cloaking, strike without warning, and disappear without a trace. GhostNet did not break any galactic law. It did not use forbidden tech. It was simply human creativity used in the most terrifying way. And it proved one thing the Council had tried to deny: humans did not just win wars, they changed how war worked. From that day on, every alien strategist lived with a new fear: if this is only the beginning of human tactics, what will the humans create next? After the GhostNet victory frightened the entire Galactic Council, every member empire began searching for weaknesses in human strategy. They believed humans could not possibly have another surprise, but they were wrong again. While other species studied human battle logs with confusion and fear, the humans were already working on their next move. This time, the tactic was not about hiding or misleading scanners. It was about something more dangerous: using psychology as a weapon. Humans had learned something critical from observing alien behavior. Most alien species trusted logic, numbers, and patterns. Their commanders relied on perfect calculations and machine predictions. They believed if they understood the data, they understood the battle. But humans understood something deeper: fear changes behavior, even in the smartest minds. And fear spreads faster than any weapon. This idea came from a military analyst named Rhea Morgan. She spent months studying reactions of alien fleets after their defeats. She noticed that alien soldiers displayed signs of panic much earlier than humans did. They retreated faster, lost discipline faster, and relied heavily on commands from their leaders. If a leader failed or disappeared, the entire formation collapsed like a broken machine. Humans, however, fought like independent thinkers. Each soldier could make decisions, adapt, and push forward without orders. Rhea presented her findings to the United Earth Defense Council and proposed something bold: we can make them break before the battle even begins. Her plan was simple but terrifying. The humans created a series of signals, false transmissions, and staged events designed to manipulate alien emotions. They called it the Phantom Doctrine. The tactic involved sending mysterious distress calls in alien languages, broadcasting fake warnings into enemy channels, and planting false sensor echoes suggesting invisible fleets. None of these were actual attacks, only psychological strikes meant to create fear. When used correctly, Phantom Doctrine made alien fleets believe they were already losing long before the first shot was fired. The first test happened in the Avarice Rift. A powerful alien empire, the Valkyrie Alliance, prepared an ambush against a small human patrol squad. The Valkyrie had hundreds of ships. The humans had only 12. But the humans activated Phantom Doctrine. Suddenly, Valkyrie commanders received emergency messages from their outer colonies claiming humans had launched massive invasions, completely false. Their long-range sensors showed thousands of signatures, actually reflections caused by human drones scattering pulses off the rift's dust clouds. Their AI systems reported human fleets appearing and disappearing, ghost images created by coded distortions. The Valkyrie panicked. They believed they were under simultaneous attack in multiple star systems. The alien commander sent half his fleet away to defend non-existent battles. The remaining ships became confused and unsure. They fired at empty space. They argued. Their chain of command collapsed. By the time the real human squad arrived, the Valkyrie fleet had already lost the battle mentally. The humans did not fire first. The Valkyrie accidentally shot their own ships in confusion. When the humans finally attacked, the Valkyrie surrendered almost instantly. News of the incident spread through the Galactic Council like wildfire. The Council reviewed the recordings and could not believe what they saw. No human superweapon. No human armada. Only fear used as a weapon. One counselor slammed his fist on the table and shouted, "This is not warfare. This is manipulation." But another counselor whispered the truth: it is legal. Humans only used information. This realization was more terrifying than any laser or missile. Humans had weaponized uncertainty, doubt, and panic, things no sensor could detect and no shield could block. Soon alien empires began reporting strange symptoms among their soldiers: anxiety, sleeplessness, rumors of invisible humans watching them. In some fleets, entire units refused to enter battle zones because they believed Phantom Doctrine was waiting for them. A warrior race called the Dractor even asked the Council for special permission to block all human transmissions, but the Council refused, because such a rule would break communication trees. The fear continued to spread. The worst incident happened 3 months later. An alien task force entered a region of space where a human fleet was rumored to be hiding. The aliens panicked so badly that they retreated without seeing a single human ship. They returned to their homeworld and reported a massive human ambush, but the humans were never there. It was paranoia, nothing more. The Council finally realized the truth: humans had learned how to win wars without firing weapons. They could defeat entire fleets using confusion, rumors, and illusions. For the first time in galactic history, the Council feared a species not because of their strength but because of their creativity. One senior counselor said in a trembling voice, "We can predict lasers. We can calculate missiles. But how do we defend against human imagination?" That question silenced the chamber. Because deep down, everyone knew the answer: they couldn't. And if Phantom Doctrine was only the beginning, then the galaxy was facing a threat no alien strategy could understand. For months the Galactic Council tried to calm the rising fear spreading across every alien empire, but nothing worked. Rumors about humans grew stronger after each battle, stories claiming humans could attack without ships, win without weapons, or trick entire armies with only a signal. The Council wanted to believe these stories were exaggerated, yet deep inside they understood humans had found something powerful: unpredictability. The Council believed the situation could not get worse, But then something happened that changed everything. It was known as the Cipher Nebula incident, the day humans broke a council rule that no species had ever touched. The council had a strict law: no species could enter the Cipher Nebula because inside it, all communication signals twisted, reflected, and scattered. Even the strongest sensors failed inside the nebula. It was a place of total uncertainty, dangerous even for exploration missions. For centuries, alien species avoided it. But when the Council placed a blockade near human space to observe and regulate human tactics, the humans saw it as a challenge. A Council fleet of 80 ships surrounded the nebula, creating a trap for any human vessel that tried to pass. They expected humans to turn back. Instead, the humans did something no alien expected. A small human fleet, only 10 ships, flew directly into the nebula, breaking the Council's ancient law. Inside the Council chamber, chaos erupted. "Humans are insane," one counselor shouted. "They will lose all contact. They will be blind." Another replied, "Maybe that is their plan." And for the first time, everyone felt a cold chill. If the nebula removed communication and sensors, then humans would be the only ones comfortable operating inside it. They had already proven they were masters of chaos. The Council decided to pursue the humans into the nebula, believing they could finally trap them without tricks. Inside the swirling red clouds, the Council fleet lost all alignment. Their ships drifted, unable to maintain formation. Navigation systems spun with errors. Audio channels filled with static. The nebula swallowed everything. But the humans had prepared for this. Their ships switched to a primitive navigation method: manual positioning, star triangulation, and short-range pings. Old-fashioned methods alien species considered obsolete. Humans had practiced for months inside simulated nebula storms. They moved confidently while the Council ships struggled like lost creatures swimming in mud. The Council commander ordered the fleet to spread out and locate the humans. But that decision only made things worse. Inside the nebula, separation meant confusion. Ships drifted further apart. Misreading signals, they fired at shadows. Their own engine echoes fooled their scanners. Some vessels panicked and retreated deeper into the nebula, losing all contact. Meanwhile, the humans activated a new strategy: nebula shadowing. Instead of using weapons, they simply followed the Council ships quietly, hiding in their blind spots, letting the nebula distort their presence. When a Council ship drifted too far, the humans nudged asteroids into its path, forcing course corrections and making it spin off balance. No lasers. No missiles. Just quiet manipulation of the environment. The Council ships panicked, reporting attacks that did not exist. Their commander, furious and desperate, tried to force the fleet together again, but the nebula made coordination impossible. Then the humans executed the final phase: signal ghosting. They released hundreds of small drones that emitted faint, echoing pings. To the Council ships, these pings sounded like dozens of human fleets surrounding them. The nebula amplified the confusion. Some Council captains believed they were already defeated and surrendered to empty space. Others fled blindly. The humans did not fire a single shot. Not one. Yet the Council fleet collapsed. By the time the nebula's storm calmed enough for clear sight, more than half the Council ships had retreated in panic, scattered across multiple sectors. Several others drifted powerless, engines shut down to avoid imagined threats. And the human fleet of 10 ships exited the nebula in perfect formation, untouched. The galaxy exploded in shock. The Council called an emergency meeting. This time, there was no argument, no debate, only fear. For the first time in history, a species had openly ignored a Council rule and still emerged victorious. And worse, they won by using only the environment and the enemy's own fear. No casualties. No weapons. Just strategy. The Council High Speaker looked around the chamber with a pale expression and whispered, "If humans can win battles inside a place where no one else can even navigate, then there is no battlefield where they cannot win." Those words spread across every star system. And from that moment, The Council realized humans had crossed the line. They were no longer just unpredictable, they were uncontrollable. And the galaxy would never be the same again. The galaxy waited in silence for the inevitable. Every empire knew humans were unstoppable, but none could agree on how to stop them. Finally, a coalition of 10 of the strongest alien races formed a massive fleet, determined to trap the humans once and for all. 300 ships gathered, armed with the deadliest weapons ever created, each controlled by highly trained commanders and perfectly coordinated AI systems. Their plan was simple: corner the human fleet in the Valdar expanse, cut off all escape routes, and destroy every human ship before they could react. The humans, as usual, were vastly outnumbered. Only 40 ships moved through the star system, each one appearing fragile compared to the massive alien armada. Captain Aaron Hale observed the enemy fleet calmly from the bridge of the flagship. His crew worked in perfect silence, trusting his every decision. Hale knew this battle would be different from all previous encounters. The enemy was aware of human tactics, and every empire had studied past battles. But he also knew humans had something no AI, no sensor, and no alien commander could predict: imagination. The coalition fleet advanced, confident in their plan. The aliens expected the humans to retreat, to hide, to surrender. But the human fleet did none of these things. Instead, Hale issued the first order of a new strategy, codenamed Mirage Strike. The humans split their fleet into small groups, moving in unpredictable paths, activating signal decoys that mimicked larger fleets, and sending out false distress messages to confuse the enemy. The coalition's AI systems immediately detected multiple threats. They calculated probable positions, weapons ranges, and optimal firing solutions. But none of the calculations matched reality. When the first shots were fired, they hit nothing. Humans had moved a second earlier than predicted, leaving behind only holographic signatures. The aliens panicked. Their massive fleet was no longer coordinated. The ships fired at empty space, collided with each other, and blocked their own formations. Then the humans executed the second phase. A group of smaller ships, invisible to sensors thanks to heat masking and natural asteroid shadows, moved directly behind the coalition's command vessels. They launched a precise attack on energy grids and shields, causing localized power failures. Entire sections of alien ships shut down for critical minutes. The coalition fleet struggled to adapt, but the humans had planned every possible reaction. While the aliens fired blindly, humans moved like dancers, striking weak points, retreating, and appearing where they were least expected. Some ships even feigned retreat, drawing enemy fire into empty zones while other human ships flanked from unseen angles. The aliens grew desperate. Their commanders shouted, their AI tried to recalculate, and soldiers across the fleet experienced fear for the first time in history. Every mistake the aliens made was amplified by the humans, who used misdirection, terrain, and timing to perfection. Then came the final phase, psychological collapse. Humans activated communication signals that broadcasted false reports of other alien fleets being destroyed in nearby sectors. This spread panic across the coalition, causing several ships to retreat or surrender even before seeing any humans. By now, the remaining coalition vessels were disorganized, some attacking phantom fleets, some firing at their own allies. Hale watched calmly. His fleet moved as one mind, each captain knowing instinctively when to attack, when to deceive, when to retreat, and when to strike again. In less than 2 hours, the 300-ship coalition was reduced to a scattered, broken group. Only a handful of alien vessels remained capable of combat, and even they were hesitant, fearful, and uncoordinated. The humans had won without heavy losses. Only a few human ships sustained minor damage, and not a single human life was lost. Across the galaxy, transmissions reported the defeat in shock and disbelief. How could 40 human ships destroy 300 of the best fleets combined? The Council convened immediately. They watched every recording, every simulation, and every report. No one could explain it, except the humans themselves. Captain Hale's final message to the Council was simple: war has no rules. Only survival. And in that moment, every alien leader understood the terrifying truth: humans would not be defeated through strength, technology, or strategy alone. They would be defeated only if the galaxy surrendered before the humans even fought. But none dared to try. The humans had shown that imagination, unpredictability, and courage were mightier than fleets, AI, and armies. The final battle did not just end the war, it changed the rules of warfare forever. The galaxy had seen a new form of power, one no AI could measure, no empire could predict, and no coalition could contain. And Captain Hale smiled quietly, knowing this victory was only the beginning of humanity's unstoppable rise. After the final battle in the Valdar Expanse, the Galactic Council gathered in urgent session. The once proud leaders of the strongest empires in the galaxy looked pale and tense. They had watched with disbelief as 40 human ships defeated a combined fleet of 300, outmaneuvering every strategy, deceiving every sensor, and crushing every expectation. The Council realized they had reached a terrifying truth: humans could not be predicted, controlled, or defeated using conventional rules of war. For centuries, galactic laws had been designed to maintain order, fairness, and predictability. But humans had shattered every assumption. They had won wars without superior technology, without overwhelming numbers, and sometimes without even firing a shot. The Council debated endlessly, knowing they could not ignore the humans any longer. If they did nothing, humans would continue to rise, and no species, no fleet, and no empire would ever be safe again. Finally, the head counselor stood and declared a decision that would echo across the galaxy: all human war strategies are officially banned. No species may use or copy them. Humans must be restricted in their methods of combat. We must control the uncontrollable. The announcement spread rapidly, leaving every empire uneasy. Some celebrated, thinking the Council had regained control. Others quietly realized the ban would not stop humans, it would only challenge them to innovate further. On Earth, Captain Aaron Hale received the news with a quiet smile. Humans were not concerned with rules they had never created. In fact, every time the Council tried to ban one tactic, humans had already developed another, often more brilliant and unpredictable. The ban was meaningless to them. They had learned long ago that creativity, courage, and adaptation could never be legislated. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, alien scientists and commanders studied every recorded human battle, desperate to understand even a fragment of the genius that allowed them to win against impossible odds. They discovered patterns only humans could create, using fear as a weapon, manipulating enemy sensors, exploiting environmental hazards, and relying on instinct over calculation. The aliens realized the terrifying truth: humans had turned unpredictability into a strategy, and no machine, no rule, and no law could ever predict a human mind. The Council, in their chambers, debated what to do next. Some argued for isolation, quarantining Earth and forbidding humans from leaving their sector. Others suggested espionage, sending spies to learn more about human tactics and possibly counter them. But even the most radical plans failed to inspire confidence. Humans had shown they could operate in total darkness, inside nebulae where sensors failed, and in psychological traps that no alien could resist. Every previous attempt to corner, trick, or challenge humans had ended in disaster for alien fleets. The Council realized that to truly stop humans, they would need to predict thought itself, and thought, especially human thought, was impossible. While alien empires panicked, humans continued preparing quietly. They trained their fleets, studied alien behavior, and practiced new tactics in secret simulations. Every captain, every pilot, every strategist learned that rules existed to be tested and broken, and that fear was only a tool when used wisely. The humans' victories had already rewritten the concept of war in the galaxy. Where once strength, numbers, and technology were paramount, now creativity, unpredictability, and courage became the ultimate weapons. In Council records, historians wrote that this was the first time in galactic history a species was banned not because it was weak or threatening in a traditional sense, but because it could not be predicted or controlled. It was a ban born out of fear. Still, even as laws were passed and fleets prepared, humans continued to smile, to plan, and to learn. The Galactic Council had only succeeded in labeling human tactics, but they could not stop the force behind them, the human mind. Captain Hale addressed his officers quietly, saying, "You can stop a weapon, you can ban a ship, but you can never stop the human mind." Those words became legend across human space. For the first time in galactic history, an empire acknowledged that the greatest power was not firepower, nor numbers, nor AI systems. It was the ingenuity of a species that refused to follow rules, that adapted faster than any enemy, and that thrived in chaos. The Council, watching from their chambers, knew that humanity's rise was unstoppable. Every law, every treaty, every strategy was now secondary. The humans had proven that victory was not measured by fleets or missiles, but by the ability to think differently, to act unpredictably, and to turn chaos into power. And so, the ban was passed, the galaxy shivered, and the humans, as always, smiled quietly, ready to invent the next strategy, the next impossible tactic, and the next victory that would leave the Council, and the entire galaxy, speechless once more.